Well, tonight we are the various ports here in Ghana as we get to appreciate what they go through on a daily basis. And of course, the various investment in the ports, exactly of what impact is it on their livelihood and of course their activities that they engage in. Tonight, we are speaking to the freight forwarders right here on Xyz Tonight with me, Prince Minka. And as usual, the show is live and interactive. Join us as you can watch us live on Facebook, on Xyz TV, and of course on TV XYZ on Facebook as well. If you're watching us on YouTube, make sure to hit the subscribe button and be a part of the conversation. They are usually not in the news, and anytime they are in the news, it's either one controversy or the other. I'm referring to the freight forwarders. Now, recently, when the budget statement was read, one question that came to mind was, exactly how do we draw them in the wake of this entire conversation about the hard conditions that we are made to face as far as the imposition of some new taxes and of course the increment of other taxes are concerned. Tonight we'll get to find out as we talk to the president of the Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders, Mr. Eddie Akron. He's our guest tonight here on the program. Mr. Eddie Akron, good evening to you and thank you very much for joining us here on Xyz Tonight.
Good evening and thanks for having me.
And let me again remind our viewers that the WhatsApp line will be displayed on your screen. If you are a freight forwarder or if you do go to the ports on a daily basis and engage in all the activities in there, maybe you might want to send in a question, one or two, and of course Mr. Akron will do justice to that. But before I get to Mr. Akron, there was this issue that freight forwarders raised some time ago, and it's got to do with tariff and their beef or the issue that they had with the policy makers or those in key decision making position was that they were unable to fathom why nobody is fighting for their interests. Watch this.
Business intervention, I would say it's very bad at this time of the day when imports are not coming and people are crying here and there that there's no money in the system. For you to increase tariff over, I would say over 100%, close to about 150%, and then when people petition you or when people demonstrate, you reduce to 40%. Even the 40% is on a higher note. How can you increase tariff to 40%? It's very bad. It's really very bad because currently the work is not coming. We freight forwarders depend on importers to get work to do. So if tariffs go up like this and importers cannot import more, adversely it's going to really affect with the freight forwarders. So the government should look at it again and then we even slash it further, because the 40% itself is going to have a ripple effect on importers. All the shipping lines charge, they all have exorbitant rates they use. Even that they cannot control them as to the rate they should use. Every shipping line, when you go to them, they all have dollar rates they use. And then they say they are regulating their activities. What activities are they regulating? So I would like even to take it from the shippers authority level, that all the tariff that they give to us is in dollars. And wherever you go to, they all have their rates. Even that they cannot really, how do you call it, put it on a better pedestal. And then they are talking about this. That's why it's just something that they are talking about.
We like what the minister did about 40%. To us, the terminals give us about 11% of the increment, but so far it's almost 200 and something percent. The minister came inside to limit the increments small, but right now they say 40%. Fine, we handle it like that, but we want the minister to investigate the.
Yeah, of course, the minister must do some investigation. I mean, that's a concern there. But Eddie Akron, and of course, by the way, he's the president of the Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders. As a president of the institute, and having that fair appreciation of the tariff increment. Exactly what's the issue, really?
Right. So this was a bit way back. This was about the MPS, the Meridian Port Services, and I think in their contract with government at the time, there was supposed to be some increment, made in their tariffs yearly. At the time, I think there had been some accumulation. So then we were hit with like a 200% increase at the time. This was, I think, last year.
Last year, 2020.
So that once that happened, of course, there was an uproar. So immediately we had to sit with the minister, and then we had to judge and find, because of these contracts are international. And so once on paper, they thought they had every right to do what they did. But then, of course, the effect that would have had on the economy. So I think the minister was magnanimous. We had, to sit and then come to a certain, reasoning. And that's
if we are to get an update on this particular development,
yes.
Has the situation changed, or is the same, or you're looking forward to an improvement?
I'm looking forward to an improvement. The thing is that since that time, okay, there's not been anything else until recently. The Ports Authority, so there had to be some increase. Of course, we also have to look at improving the port all the time. So this is something that happens every year. There's a certain increase. They look at the tariffs. Now, but with this particular year, the increase that the Ports Authority wanted to do, they wanted to make sure that all round. Now, going back to that situation, the shipping lines had decided to pad their charges with a certain terminal handling charge. Again, there was an uproar and we had to stop it. And so when the Ports Authority decided to do the increases this year, the tariffs, then they sat down with us actually, and this is what they do all the time, to judge or to also let us know that, okay, this is what is going to happen the next 3 or 4 months. Now the Ports Authority had also called the shipping lines and told them, make sure that these charges do not affect your local charges that you know. Of course, one would say that they're not for the Christmas, so that when there are any charges, they do not. But then the Port Authority had a reason why they did that. And we have serious reason why they shouldn't even, apart from this particular, they shouldn't even be charged. There should be minimal charges from the shipping lines, and I'll explain why.
Okay.
Because
as we go into the conversation,
right.
One major issue that I know you appreciate is the quest of government to raise revenue.
Right.
That has always been the mantra, and it even heightens this year in the wake of COVID-19. Now, when the budget statement was presented, that was on the lips of those in key decision-making positions.
Okay.
Now, Ghanaians are crying over untold hardship. in relation to the budget statement. Where do we draw you in this particular conversation? I know at the port there's that fear of a possible increase in import duties. Has the situation changed? Is that what you're experiencing?
Okay, so this is what's going to happen. Once the budget is read, okay, and there's been that increase mentioned, I think there's a 1% in the VAT thing. Of course, that's going to take a direct hit on the importers because they directly pay this. So, look, nobody wants to pay taxes. Agree, and we also agree that it's the same taxes that we use to develop the economy. We're coming out of the COVID, and everybody knows that all the money that has been expended, we're getting some freebies. Yeah, can't be free anyway. So, of course, there has to be some development. My only thing is this: like I'm saying, this is a direct hit on the importers because they are going to pay the duties right away. The only thing is, at the end of the day, all of us go to the market, and so of course they're not for the Christmas again. And so once they have that increase, they'll take these things to the market. It's going to affect prices. My worry is this one: that if these taxes that are going to be introduced, the new ones, the reasoning for them is always giving that we need to maybe recover certain, losses that have been made.
Or into loopholes in the treasury. Now, when that recovery is made, do we take the taxes away or they still stay? Because I know a couple, one special import license, which was special, that's the name they gave. It came in to resolve a certain problem. As we said, it's still there. So is this one going to go away after we have recouped, or is it going to stay? That is the big question. Interesting. But what about the shipping lines? I mean, just recently, I remember that with the expansion of the Tema Port in particular, as you can see there in your shot, I mean, there was this whole excitement about a new wave of, if you will, investment coming into the country, and that obviously is going to be a destination that will see beehive of activity, which will have a trickle-down effect, even on you, the freight forwarders. Is that what we see?
I tell you what, I mean, once you mentioned the shipping lines, I begin to get, goosebumps, some spiraling down my spine, because it's been a bit of a nightmare. If I'll tell you a story, I can take you a little way, but I've been around a bit. I mean, late in the mid-80s, there was the advent of containerization. What these containers that you see, these boxes, now that was not the situation prior to that. Goods were coming to the country in packages and packs and boxes and barrels, and and they were stored in the bowels of the vessels that were coming. And then there was the sudden advent of containerization. This started sometime in the mid-80s.
And by the way, those are the containers you see.
Exactly, that's what you see. Now, when this started, we had a shortfall, a certain shortcoming in the ports, because Ghana was not ready with the kind of machinery that you needed to offload vessels when the vessels call in our ports. Okay? So because you needed ship-to-shore handling cranes, these huge heisters which had to pick up the boxes and send them to the terminals. We did not have that, so we had a certain shortfall. Now, turnaround time, when we talk about turnaround time in shipping, that when vessels call in your port, they want to leave early because time is money for them. The faster they go, the more money they make. So if you have a shorter turnaround, a good turnaround time in your port, they are very excited when they get here. And so they make every effort to do what? I mean, to make sure that if they come in and they don't stay long, they are very happy. We did not have the machinery at the time. So I think the government looked at it, and they also, wanting their vessels to leave early, decided to hire their own machinery and do their stevedoring. When I stevedoring, I'm talking about, handling of their containers, taking them off the vessels and all. Okay. So then they started hiring their own machinery to do that. To be able to, so the government looked at this as, this is what the...
And when you say they, you're...
The shipping lines.
The shipping lines, okay.
So then the government decided, okay, we were supposed to do this. Now, if they are doing it and using their own machinery, then we allow them to charge a certain small fee, okay? To, so that those who bring in their goods, the importers, would pay something small to cover that cost. And that was the whole idea. And that was about $10 or so at the time. Now, fast forward, we're in 2021. Look at our ports. We have some state-of-the-art machinery.
That's right.
Across the coast in West Africa, I mean, we have like the best turnaround time. Okay? But what do you see?
The best in terms of infrastructure.
Okay. And then the number of days a vessel. If you ask the port authority now, they'll tell you on the average about 2 days and I think 5 hours that a vessel spends here. And we have bigger vessels coming. Throughput is getting bigger and bigger by the day. But we're able to do this. Okay. The port authority is doing this. Now, you tell me, then the shipping lines, of course, are making savings because, look, they don't spend that much time here. But then what do you see on the other side? Their charges have skyrocketed. Okay? Now, you ask, this is the $10 that we were talking about, which has now got to this point. Okay. Now, when you go and ask, if you look at our laws, okay, in the maritime space, nobody, including us, if you bring in any tariff, you would have to sit with the Ghana Shippers Authority and negotiate these tariffs before you put them out. They have found a way to set aside that law and are running with this whole thing. They're running roughshod. Now, the reason why I have a beef with this is this. What we do mainly here is called liner. It's called liner terms. Okay, I'll give you an example of the liner terms.
Yes,
let's say you want to go on Emirates to Dubai. I hope I'm not advertising it. You're not going to charge me for that.
That's fine.
Right, so you want to go on Emirates to Dubai, on Delta to the US. If you walk into Emirates and ask them, they tell you, okay, this is our our rates.
That's right.
You want to go economy, you want to go business. So if I went in and say economy, okay, $800. I said, okay. What else? You can carry 2 suitcases, 23 kilos or less. Anything more than that, you pay maybe another $5 for each kilo.
Right.
So if I bought that ticket, walked into the airport, got on with 2 suitcases, which were less than 23 kilos, and got onto the plane. Once I get to Dubai, I walk out of the airport through immigration. I pick up my suitcases and go. Now that's the liner term. I'll give you another simple example. I really want you to get this one. If I left Circle and was going to Medina, so I went on a trotro.
Yeah.
Then the trotro driver says, look, to take you to Medina, you have to pay me 5 cedis. I said, okay, I agree. I sit in. When we get to Medina, I walk out of the trotro and go, right?
Right.
Now imagine that we get to Medina, and then just before we got there, the trotro driver tells me that, hey, the MC in the Medina area has brought in a certain new tax. So before we get off, you have to pay another 1 cedi.
Wow.
The loading boys in the trotro station where I'm going to drop you have certain charges, for the grouping there. So we're going to. You can imagine the chaos.
An extra cost.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Or we got into Dubai airport and so before we got off the plane, they say, oh, there are some taxes at Dubai airport that you have to pay. You are not aware, right?
Absolutely.
So with the liner terms, anybody, if you get on, if I'm shipping a container from Guangzhou or from wherever, and I put a container on you, I come to you and say, I want you to take this container to Tema, Ghana, container yard to container yard. How much freight do I pay? I pay my freight. That is all I know. It is possible. So when I get there and you want me to pay anything extra when I get to Accra, then you tell me that, look, this is what you're going to pay here, but there's a certain local charge in Ghana which you're going to pay. If I'm not aware of that and I get here, of course I'm going to feel shortchanged. If the shipping line I get here, for them to release my cargo to me, then they start giving me all these huge figures. Okay? Now, the freight that they charge you there, look, is made up of a whole lot of things. What they call the bunker adjustment factor, the currency adjustment factor, so many things. If there is even some strike going on in the ports in Ghana, it would affect freight rates. Wow. Because they believe that when they get here, their vessels might delay because of the strike. So that could affect freight. Okay? If there are new emission laws, so they have to buy higher fuels, it would affect it. Okay? So, if you charge me all these things, I know that you know the custom of our port. And so you know that when you get to Ghana, this is how much stevedoring costs you. This is how much. So you have factored all of that in your freight. Now, why do we get here and then you take so much money from me? If you take any ordinary shipping line's tariff right now, you have everything. I can live with maybe about 11 different charges. You have the release fee, you have a port additional fee, you have on-stuffing fees, you have port security, you have ISPS, you have container cleaning. Look,
and all these, you're bound to pay them.
You are bound to, and these are not fees that you are aware you're going to pay when you get to Ghana. And we have gotten accustomed to it. It is unimaginable. So if they charge us all the freight, and then come to take all these monies here, in the name of a certain, these are surcharges, the ones that we take are part of the freight. Says who? Well, so why don't you take it there?
But is that the international or the best practice? Is that a situation
best
elsewhere?
Practice? No. Trust me, just go across to Togo and you wouldn't find this release fee.
But why Ghana?
Tell me about it. I'm saying
have you asked that question?
We have asked severally. Look, and it's been going for years. But this time we say no. We have
what have the sector ministers, predecessors, though the current ones, what have they been saying about it?
Look, we have done this severally, but now we're going to see the sector minister. He has sat down with us. He has promised to form a committee, so we'll look into this matter.
No, I want to understand what has been the narrative. In terms of the explanation they give with regards to this development in Ghana, which you say, and of course we can do the check now, which is not the same situation elsewhere. Why is it like that in Ghana?
That's what I'm saying. As to why it is, I explained, that's why I gave you the history.
Yes.
I wanted you to know how this happened and how it has built up to this point and why this thing must stop, because there's serious drain on our economy.
It is.
Very serious drain.
And no one has explained why.
And all the money is going out. Okay? So there has to be a stop.
And these are not monies that are going into the Ghanaian economy.
No. See, and there are things that if I look, demurrage is international. If you keep my box, my container for a long time, for a certain time, you have to pay what they call demurrage, right? Because the container is deemed as an equipment,
right,
part of the vessel. So if you keep it, it means you're slowing down the vessel. Okay. So you're given a certain number of days. In Ghana, it's 7 free days. Okay? After 7 free days, the shipping line is going to start charging you demurrage. Mm-hmm. Okay? Now tell me, how do they count these 7 free days? It is unimaginable that you would count a holiday, because you are not working, first of all, because you are not going to release my container to me on a holiday. And then you charge me, you count that day as one of the 7 days. In fact, our laws do not allow, our laws tell you what a day means.
Okay.
Exclusive of holidays and weekends.
But
so you just take last year, the 24th of last year was a Friday.
Right.
So you can imagine, if your vessel, if your container arrived that day, look, you don't have to do the math. Immediately you know that you are going to pay demurrage. And this demurrage is not easy. It goes all the way up to $100 in some places. Yes, a day.
So you're forced to do it.
You're forced to pay.
Regardless of whatever the law says.
Okay. So
regardless of what the law says.
Exactly.
You have to do it.
But like I say, then again.
But that means you're breaking the law too.
No, I'm not. Listen, what I'm saying is this. We know that this demurrage issue is international. That one, you know, is not exceptional. I mean, it's international. But how do you collect it? Okay? I'm saying, if you say you're giving 7 free days, if your vessel arrives here on Friday, don't start counting, because you can't, first of all, deliver the container on Friday. Saturday is out. You are not working. The shipping line says no. Sunday, they are not working. Monday, you can start counting your free days. So from Monday to Friday, then you have 5 days. Another Saturday, Sunday, you can't count. But trust me, if the vessel gets here on Friday, they start counting. Tell me why this should not be, should not be stopped. They all have their different exchange rates that they use across what. So if their invoices are dollar indexed, you go here. This one says 5.8. This one says 6 point this. This one says that. Why? There are 1,000 questions.
So I mean, you're asking 1,000 questions, and I'm also asking questions as well. But in terms of your engagement with the minister, you say there will be an engagement.
We have there has been an engagement. Yes.
So has the matter been resolved?
So this is what has happened. We've sat with the minister. We've sat, in fact, with the minister, Shippers Authority, the Ports Authority, and the shipping lines themselves have been called. And the minister has called their attention to the fact that the law says that if they're going to do any increase, they have to necessarily sit with the Shippers Authority. Now, their claim is that this law does not cover their freight, but then the freight is what they should have charged there at the point of export. So, who is to determine what is part of the freight when we come here? Because you can't draw a fine line.
Did you ask that question?
Of course.
What was the answer?
They won't even give you an answer. The thing is that, look,
so the beat goes on.
Oh, but this time the beat won't just go on.
What would you do?
Oh, trust me, man. We have written to them severally, individually, to this. We told them, look, you have to.
When you say them, you're referring to the shipping lines.
And then the minister is, and set up a committee which was going to look into this. And if there's a law that maybe has to be drawn properly because of a certain maybe lacuna, but we don't see any ambiguity.
How different is this minister's intervention from previous ones?
I am quite impressed, though, because first of all, if you look at this clip you played on how we got this 200% increase down to 40%, look, I think he's doing magic. We are still urging him on. I think by this one, I'm even urging more so that this thing, there has to be a certain closure to this matter. Okay? It's a huge leakage, and it can't continue.
Very well. Talk about magic.
Yes.
We were made to believe, and of course we were being told in that narrative by Vice President Dr. Mahmoud Bawumia that the introduction of the paperless system would, as it were, deal with issues of corruption and also help protect the local economy. Is that the situation? What's been the impact? How many years now? I mean, it's been well over
2017.
4 years now. Yes.
tell you what. Okay, so there have been some changes in systems that we're using, but the idea, as for that, was brilliant. Now, I mean, I would say this is great. Yeah, listen. The whole paperless, we're in the midst of the fourth industrial revolution and technology is ruling the day. So basically, why are we still carrying around paper to do every effort? And it's not gone away. It has to be just, something that has to be, still enforced. That, okay, don't take the paper.
Also, it's not gone away.
It's not gone away, totally. But we will force this. Someday we have to arrive at that point. If you have to
do a percentage, I mean, in terms of how much paperwork one would have to do at the port.
No, you're not doing the paperwork. Everything, we're using the technology, all right. Yes. But the fact that there are some people in the port who will still want to see that you print a certain sheet for them, because it's all about, I think, change management. And that is a psyche of how people think that, look, if I don't see paper, then it means there's something wrong. But it's in the system, so go and look. It's even better locked there than the paper that's going to fly away. Right. So it's the change management.
But what's the real impact? I mean, the physical impact, one that you can literally see. What's the impact?
With the paperless.
With the paperless.
Well, of course. I mean, of course. Look, I'll tell you a very funny story.
Right. Go ahead.
When the vice president introduced that policy, immediately a certain group of people came to see us. I wasn't president then, my brother Kwabna was. And, since when these guys came, they said they were the Photocopiers Association. Right?
Who are they?
In the port. Oh, they were the ones who were doing photocopies. So you can imagine the number. If you have a 100-line item document and it's this thick.
These are the guys who do photocopies.
Exactly. And you have to take this to about 2 or 3 or 4 people. Wow. Everybody was demanding a copy. So they are running photocopies and they're making a lot of money from it. So immediately with the introduction of the paperless, they thought they were the biggest hit. And immediately so they came to us, saying, what are you guys doing? I said, wow. We need to move forward.
Potential job losses.
Job losses there. Wow. So it has to hit somebody at some point. But anyway, we need to find a way around it. But like I'm saying, it was the best idea. And the whole idea was to reduce the cost of doing business and the time of doing business as well.
Right.
Okay? To make our ports attractive. We want to make the Tema port a hub. Okay? So that more vessels can call you.
So has it become attractive? Has it become the hub? I mean, it may be work in progress.
It's work in progress.
Are we getting the results?
Look.
Can you cite examples?
Throughput is on the increase. Even in COVID last year, you will be surprised that when we were expecting, at the end of the year, when the statistics was done, if you have the Port Authority now, they'll tell you throughput went higher. In fact, this is something we weren't expecting because of the COVID, but I guess maybe we got lucky there. So the situation is such that we have to work at it. If we don't, we won't achieve those. Look, the vice president at the time talked about, 4-hour. He's dreaming of a time when we get stuff out in 4 hours.
4 hours.
At that time, we were a bit optimistic. Trust me, it is something that can be done. But if you look at our the way the system operates, there's a risk management system in there. There's some boxes that go red, they profile. So you go red or green or yellow. Okay? If you have a green, what the system is supposed to do that once your goods arrive here and you've paid your duty, you just go and pick the box, sit it on a truck, and walk out of the port. And that is the way the system is supposed to run. As to whether it's running that way, that's another matter. But if on paper, if that is what is supposed to happen, of course that can happen. Okay? So it's a work in process. Like I said, it is the change management thing, is the people's psyche.
That is needed.
Like you imagine looking at a container, you didn't open this container, it's leaving. There must be something. No.
Absolutely.
But then the law takes care of that.
Absolutely. Let me just remind our viewers that you're still watching XYZ Tonight here on TV XYZ and Xyz TV. We're having a conversation with Adi Akron, who is the president of the Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders. We're discussing their activities and various activities they engage in at the various ports in our country. Now, you quite remember that controversy, that impasse between GCNet and the freight forwarders. The big question that I kept asking myself when that controversy broke was, why would anyone not be happy with GCNet and perhaps Ghana Link in terms of the ability to aid in the clearing of goods?
get a bit uncomfortable relating to that. I think it's something that has come and gone as the pipeline. At the time, the only reason why there was anything, if you would call it an impasse, was that, look, sometimes you sit in a certain comfort zone and suddenly there's going to be change. Nobody likes change, okay? If it's change, it should be change for the better. So all we're asking for is that if this is what is going to happen, then make sure you are giving it something better than what we have, okay? Technology is technology. So as long as anybody you get in and work at it, you improve, because the improvement is only going to come from the criticisms that that we bring on board. So the good thing is that is in the past. What's gone now, we can't even recollect, what has happened. The system is in now, it's working.
And are you happy with them?
Yes, I don't want to give 100% right now, but of course, it's the things that we keep pushing for them to do better. And hopefully, they will deliver.
What are the lapses? What do you want to see improved?
Wow. There's a whole lot of things. They have, trust me, I should say they have done well. Okay? This time, so we've gotten to the point. If you give anybody the chance, yes, they will. There are still some ways to go. I sit here and think of my constituency. Okay, GIF is made up of 6 districts. Okay, we have Takrady, Aflao, Lubo, Sunyani, Tema, and KI.
Absolutely.
So I get reports from some of my members. I visit all the time, and then so I have maybe one issue coming from my brothers in Sunyani at the Gonokrum border. I think it's I don't know what the problem is, whether it's an internet problem or because they seem to be having problems with the system. So we're working at it. We've reported this to them because we can't leave them out. Of course, this is their source of livelihood, and we need to keep them up. So we keep pushing them. Hope they will get better.
And I'll keep pushing you on the issue of the import duties.
Right.
And as pertain to what was said in the 2021 budget statement, it's a major conversation in Ghana. And also we'll be looking at the interest rate. We'll also look at the forex rate and what's that what that has got to do with your workings as well. And of course, your relationship with the Ghana Revenue Authority. How's it like? How's it going so far? Don't answer that yet. We're going on a break. When we return, we'll get those answers for you. This is XYZ Tonight.
Peace of mind is very essential in your journey to success. For Akwesi Papa, peace of mind means having a proper covering over his family. Literally. For Araba, aka Injection Mama, it's about having the funds to complete her advanced nursing course. And as for Corporal Odami, it's as simple as reporting on time for his shifts. Sometimes all you need is a simple push. At Needs Microfinance, we have tailor-made loan packages for salaried workers under the Controller General's Department. With the low interest rate and quick wahala-free process, you are guaranteed of a timely solution to get back that peace of mind, literally in 30 minutes. Needs Microfinance. Growing with you.
All right, thank you very much for staying with us here on XYZ Tonight with me, Prince Minka. Your messages are more than welcome. Keep them coming in because it's a conversation that is of relevance to you, especially if you engage in various activities at the port. Whether you do it or not, it has an impact on you because at the end of the day, when the goods are brought into the port, it comes all the way down there to you. So their issue is of interest to all of us. And that's the reason I'd want to draw our guest, Eddie Akron, who is the president of the Ghana Institute of Freight Forwarders, into this whole conversation about the introduction of new taxes. I quite remember when the Akufo-Addo administration took over power, they reduced and abolished some import duties. I mean, that is quite graphic on our minds. We still remember the sounding joy of songs that were sung across the length and breadth of the country. Now, listening to the 2021 budget, and of course reading it as well, you get to appreciate the fact that there's been an introduction of new taxes, increment of others. My question again, just as I started, is that how is this affecting your workings?
So basically, like I said, initially was that nobody likes to pay taxes. Of course, there's an increase. Let us give some props also. Remember that issue of a 50% decrease in the value of your cargo. So if you brought in something which is like $50,000 worth, the government says let them slash it to 25,000. So you're going to pay the duty based on that FOB, not on the 50. So that is also kind of so that is still there, and we're happy with cars. Used cars is a 30% decrease on that, so that is fine.
And with that, is it drawing in more activities at the port? Are we getting people clamoring to
by the year? Yeah. By the year, if you look at the statistics, by the year there is increase in throughput.
Wow.
So it has a good reflection on
revenue.
On revenue
mobilization.
On revenue mobilization.
So then we shouldn't be having problems with revenue mobilization, for which taxes will be imposed on the good people of Ghana.
Oh, of course, we still have to do. There's more to do. So there's more to do. So of course, like I'm saying, I'm not an economist. Yes. They know how to run the system. But what affects us directly
from a layman's perspective.
Yeah. So we looked at the other thing that we have actually proposed, several times, is that you see the duties, the values that we are always indexed in the foreign currency. So you can bring in something in US dollar. This is how the system sees it. And so there's an exchange rate.
Yes.
That this changes every Tuesday.
It does.
Now, we've looked at it that, it doesn't help the trader to plan properly. So we have made suggestions, in fact, together with GUTA and some of the trade, unions, that if they could hedge this thing, and look and say maybe you give an exchange rate for purposes of taxes, they could hedge the exchange rates and say maybe for 3 months we're going to have it quarterly. But it would help the importers to plan, because then you're on the same market with with people, you're competing on the same market, and then if I brought in goods this week, you brought in the same thing. This week I'm paying 2 cedis. Just yours comes in next week, you have to pay 2 cedis, 20 pesos. You understand? It doesn't help. And so it will help traders to plan also. So as for the taxes, like I said, there will never be freebies. It will be taken. I'm saying if the purpose for which they were taken, they said, okay, this is to close a certain gap. This is to recover a certain XY amount that was lost. When that is recovered, do we go back?
Okay.
Do we take those taxes off?
Right.
Because I'm saying there's 1 or 2 which I've seen which are still there. They're lingering. They don't go away.
Like which ones?
So there's a special import license, and
That's
it was introduced for a particular reason. This has been a couple of years now, but it's still there. Okay. So we'll see. Like I'm saying, if they brought it in to say we're recovering a certain XY amount because of maybe COVID, if that's the reason, once we do the recovery, then let's go back to our, bring us back to our normal things. If we hope it doesn't stay.
Once you mentioned COVID, COVID has become, the punching bag for almost everyone. Someone fell from the stairs, and he said, "Look, it's COVID. COVID is the reason I fell from the stairs." Everybody seems to be blaming COVID for almost everything here in Ghana.
Yes.
Government is no exception in this whole blaming COVID. What has COVID done to you? Talk about importers and freight forwarders. What has been the impact of COVID-19 on your business?
Trust me, the port was not shut down.
No, it wasn't.
Okay, so as far as the sea never dries, so once the sea is there and they don't shut us down, we're good. Okay, initially it had its own effect. The thing is that the traders they stopped. They couldn't travel. And you know, the way we do our trading in Ghana is not the Amazon type trading. You know, how people want to go and see physically, take out their
face-to-face
goods, you know, load them, bargain and stuff like that. So that initially, then that was the
drawback.
A drawback. And also with cargoes that had come in, they needed certain documents. You need a bill of lading, which is like a receipt for the goods that you exported. So this is what you exchange with the shipping line for the release of your cargoes. And because China had also been shut down, which was like a major trading partner, they all been shut down. They were not going to the offices, so they couldn't even, you know, courier those documents to. And the shipping lines would not release the cargoes to you without the. I mean, that is the, you know, it's a legal document. That is what you need to release. So it wasn't good for the traders who had their stuff locked in here. They couldn't do it. You had people who had stuff locked in here. The greater, let's say, Kumasi area was on lockdown. They couldn't come through. You know, so most of them would like to come directly to do their clearing. So that was the initial effect until we tried to smoothen things out. Okay, so like I said, if you look at the if you look at throughput, then it gets surprising that look, for me, look, maybe we have selfish reasons to say, since the port was not closed, we were working.
So you were okay.
We were okay. All right. The difficulty I'm saying initially was how our clients was, because the last client goes away, you suffer because they don't come in, we can't do any business.
But gradually you overcame
that particular we overcame that particular thing. The initial one again is where I'm hitting the shipping lines again at the time, because they were making craving. They say, oh, because of COVID we can't come in, but he's not saying I'm giving you any demurrage free days. You understand? And so they were making a raking. I mean, that's fine. I'm saying they have to do things right now. We have to get that straightened out.
And we'll be following the various moves that you're making, getting them to straighten up things. But since you mentioned Greater Kumasi, one thing that came to mind was the promise about ensuring that we have an inland port in Greater Kumasi, Kumasi to be specific, Buankra Inland Port. Now, of what value would that be to the supply chain?
Oh boy, this is going to be beautiful. Just the railway line alone, okay? I still dream about this. If this happens, the railway line, look at Akosombo. Okay, they're moving the railway line there. If that happens, one, you know, rail head can pick maybe 200-300 containers. Now, look at the effect that would have on the trucks that run our roads, you know, with all that overweight, and then have an effect on, you know, our roads. If the rails can move these boxes, and cheaper too, if they can move them, let's say to Akosombo. If you have warehouses in Akosombo, these things are stopped in Akosombo. We use the inland waterway, which is a water, to take these goods up to the north. Look, it won't affect our roads. It's a beautiful idea. Buankra, major. If you come to Tema now, you see that you know, four-wheeled area is littered with trucks from our land-linked countries, Burkina, Mali, Niger. They're all saying that they come to spend days here. Look, it's a mess. If Buankra comes into play, again, is a major thing, because then the rail line, if it runs through to Buankra, moves all these boxes that are in transit to the land-linked countries. These trucks will not get to Tama. Their last stop will be, you know, Kumasi, and then back. Okay, so it's a very beautiful. So till this day, I question myself: why are we dragging our feet? Yeah, I mean, now we've been told in the next 3 years, it's going to happen because the contract has been given out. It's been done. So we'll see if this time. But I pray, this happens. I mean, in my lifetime,
before administration contracts were given out. I mean, similar promises were made.
Trust me, I can't speak to that, but I'm saying this one has to happen.
No, I mean, for a key player in the entire supply chain, exactly what does it really mean to you? I mean, the fact that it's delayed, it turns out turning out to be just lip service. What does it really mean?
What we do. There's something called multimodalism, right? Multimodal. Use all sorts of means to bring the cargo to your clients. Okay, we are going between. So if I have goods in Kazakhstan, I want to make sure it gets to my client in Kumasi by, very good means, make sure it gets there, it's safe, the goods get there intact and the cheapest. So I could use rail, air, sea, road, everything. So for me, I mean, if this happens, look, it's a big deal.
Right.
It's more business for us. Look, it's more business for even our transporters because they have a certain share system with our brothers from, the landlink countries.
That's
but
right.
then
Like
because it's their business, they are not respecting that share business. They come and take more. So our transporters do not get business. But if this is what it is, they don't have to come. Even if we have to use the roads, then it means our transporters will move the boxes from Tema to Kumasi, which is good business for them. We move all these boxes there. The railway line is working, it's going to move the boxes there. So for us, it's big business. And
let me bring in a couple of concerns from some of our viewers, some of the messages that we are getting. Akwesi George, I'm told, is sending a message from Taifa. And Akwesi wants to know the 2021 budget statement, whether it presents any hope at all for freight forwarders. Yes, that's what Kwesi wants to ask.
If you skew us, particularly, but just for freight forwarders, I cannot speak to that. But I'm saying I'm looking at.
What about? I mean, let me paraphrase or rephrase this question, or put it this way: what about those who engage in all forms of activities at the port? Does it in any way present any hope for you?
So, basically, it's infrastructure. Okay, infrastructure, building of infrastructure will basically always present hope. Like I'm talking about Buankra now, we're talking about the railway line, we're talking about the roads leading to these, how we get to these places. So, if the infrastructure, which has been promised in the budget, they're going to do it. They do it. It's going to have a serious, a very good impact on us.
Okay.
Okay. So for us, it will be more business.
Well, I'm sure. I hope that's the answer you was looking for.
I'm trying to figure out.
But let's go to that concern I raised about your relationship with the Ghana Revenue Authority. I mean, that's the agency that's in charge of revenue mobilization.
Okay.
And revenue mobilization is key to our national development. Hence, taxes. What's the relationship like?
Look, we have our fights, but we have a symbiotic relationship with them. We're born of the same mother. We can do away with them. They can do without. So we're in there. So we have a good relationship. Trust me. I mean, so we tell it like it is. I mean, there's no holds barred. I think over the years their attitude to us changed very much. It's all about change management, and they see us as partners now. Because look, all the monies that are being paid, the duties, we go and carry them, bring them, and then, they meet their targets. I'm just going to tell the commissioner that this year when they meet the target, I think they should remember as dropping some 1% for us. See, so I mean, we have a symbiotic, so we cannot. For me, I call them our first cousins. We can't do without them, and we deal with them directly because they license us. But
is it not interesting that they are meeting their target, yet we are still crying over revenue shortfalls?
Still drawing me into the like I'm saying, I'm not an economist. More money is good.
No, but you play a role. You play a role within the economy, and that's why I keep coming back to it.
Of course, sometimes even when we look at some of the targets, it scares us because look, we're pushing when we're also doing all our best to make sure. And trust me, we're playing a very serious role in that to make sure that look, the importers also pay the right duty. We don't want them to shortchange the government. So we do our bit. They get the money, and we'll see. As for complaints, of course, if we want to do bigger things, we always. Of course we're going to complain. We want to make sure that the monies we pay to are used for the right things. So, of course, that's where the complaints come from.
What do you envisage in terms of the vision that you have? What do you envisage for developments within our ports that can put Ghana on a higher pedigree in terms of what is the best practice elsewhere that will rake in the revenue for you and also rake in the revenue for us in order to be able to grow our economy? What do you envisage?
Well,
let's do a projection, maybe in the next, say, 10 years?
Oh, boy. So this is what I see. If they say Buankra is going to be ready in, let's say, the next 3 years, if the railway lines are moving from here to the north. Look, if you look at our transit corridors, yeah, if you look at just us, Ivory Coast, and we're not far from maybe losing the business we have. A lot of the transit a lot of the business happening here with the land-linked countries is something that has to do with our way of life, our lifestyle. You know, the Ghanaian hospitality. And so they love it here. Okay? Sometimes I think they take a bit of an advantage of that, and that's one thing we have to look at pretty soon. But if you look at Ivory Coast, I think the civil war situation, it had a certain effect, because when you have to cross, you know, from the south to the north, they have a shorter route even to Burkina Faso. So if you have to cross all the way, they have issues, you know, going into the north. So it's not too safe for them. Togo had an issue with a very hilly route by road to, and so Ghana is the best place. It will surprise you that there are trucks that come from Burkina. They have to go pick up boxes in Togo. And it's just 4 hours here. So they come this way, they'll rather stay in Tema, wait till their boxes are ready, and then move to, you know, Togo for the 4 hours or so, and then go pick their boxes and come, because they love it here. So we should be able to maintain that business, and even bigger. So with our ports also, with the improvements that come in our ports, then we can use Ghana as a hub. All these bigger vessels calling here, they come and dump the boxes here, and then they move from here, you know, the hub and spoke system, you know, is created here. And that is going to be big business for Ghana.
For Ghana. Now, before we finally wrap up the conversation, and of course, some messages that are still pouring in. Alfred George, they say, is sending in a message from Taifa, and Alfred wants to know. Okay, let me rephrase this question, because it's a bit ambiguous. I mean, he wants to know, in terms of the impact of the forex or the exchange rate on your business.
Yes.
Looking at what the argument of the vice president has always been, that look, let's look at the percentage in terms of the development with regards to the forex. What for you works for you? I mean, what for you? Plays out for you in terms of the impact. Is it a percentage, or the just on the face of it, the mere increment? The mere fact that the city is not performing as against other major currencies.
Then again, I don't want to be drawn into it. So, like I'm saying, I'm not an economist, so I get that. When it get there, yes, I really don't want to get into it. But I'm saying, I look. But
the reason I'm asking this question is that when they speak from that angle, how does it sound like in your ears? When they say, look, it is not about the fact that on the face of it, the city is not performing well as against other major currencies. But let's look at the percentage in terms of how the city has been doing or how the city has been faring. Let's look at it from the angle of the percentage. When that narrative is put out there, I mean, for you, who is a key player in our economy, how does it hit you?
I'll tell you what hits me, and what hits me is what I told you, that look, we look at it, this weekly exchange rate increase is not a funny thing, okay? That is what hits me, and that's how I see it. And so all we're saying is that if they could hedge this, it could help the traders seriously. First of all, to plan, because like I'm saying, we all go to the same market. So once the exchange rate, you know, hits it and then it goes up, he's bringing it to the market, he's not going to give it to you for free, he's still going to top up on the market. And we're all going to the market and we're going to be affected. So that is the part that really gets me, and we're still on it, that if they could hedge that and kind of find one rate, maybe for 3 months. If it's quarterly, is half yearly, however they do that, I mean, it is going to help greatly. Yes.
Okay. Again, back to other major concerns for you in ensuring that you have a conducive environment within the port.
Yeah.
What are they for you? As we're wrapping up.
Okay. So,
the other key concerns that you have.
Right.
Like I mentioned in the intro, anytime we come to you, there's one controversy or the other. So this is my other way of saying, what's the next controversy?
What's the next controversy? Look, we need to guard our ports. It's a serious, revenue generation. In fact, if you look at it, it's like the biggest. And so we need to guard them. If we allow the systems to work, and the policies that are put in place, if we allow them to work, we talked about the paperless, let it work. The new on the block ICOMS is working. We need to push them to make sure, things flow. anybody in there who, you know, does not want to play ball, if, like I'm saying, with the shipping lines, we have to, you know, we have to bring things down to the minimum. Make sure everybody, if we go according to the law, even in the ports, trust me, I mean, things will flow and we'll be the better for it.
So it's about the laws working.
It's about the laws working.
So the laws aren't working now?
They are, to a point. There's some people who are ignoring them. I've just told you about it, and we're going to make sure that they follow.
How are you going to do that?
Oh, I told you, I don't want to leave our secrets out in the open. You hear from us soon.
Yeah. And let me just take a quick break. When we return, I'll read some of your messages. If possible, activate the phone lines, and then we can wrap up with the program. You're still watching XYZ tonight here on TV XYZ. Stay with us. Thank you very much. You're still watching XYZ tonight here on TV XYZ and also live on Xyz TV. Messages here. This one here says, please thank your guests for us. It's very insightful conversation that you're having in the studio. Most of us do not really pay a particular attention to what happens at the port. Only that we, okay, you mean that your focus is usually on the goods that you are clearing. That's what matters. This one here says, Prince, ask him about the perception of corruption at the port. Has that in any way changed? Because I remember during Mills's administration, he had to move in there and then, I'm sure I remember that one. It was on the back of Anas's expose. And he said, Francisca is saying that, look, ask him whether the corruption saga has ended or the trend is the same. I mean, that old age issue, usually what triggers it? Has anything changed?
We're just having a discussion the other day, and then something interesting. This, you know, sometimes I think it's our history and how we even evolved as, you know, as straightforward, as how we evolved, which has given a certain impression, okay? Because back in the 60s, before Kwame Nkrumah, you know, was overthrown, those who were handling all the clearing and everything in Ghana were these, you had the Syrians who, you know, just a few imports coming. Okay, out goes Kwame Nkrumah, and then you know, our economy was open, people were coming home, they started bringing goods home. And those few companies there couldn't handle the load. Of course, remember they were employing Ghanaians, and so these Ghanaians had understudied them and knew how to do this. So they started taking over, if you want to call the Go Boys situation. I think that...
And they're still around?
Oh, that's gone way, that's way out of the door. Look, if you can't, where we are now, if you haven't gone through the mill, you really have to, where we are, you can't.
So there's no way anyone can, go through the shortcuts, change monies, monies do not change hands.
Look,
anywhere.
They can do stuff. Of course, it's a human institution, so you should remember that everywhere there are bad nuts. So there are people who can do stuff. But I'm saying we're dealing with technology right now. If they don't find it out today, they could find out, you know, just a couple months down the line. Remember, if you look at the law itself, there is a post-clearance audit in the customs law. So they could allow your container to go today. It is not the end of it.
Okay.
Customs could always walk into your warehouse and check. Did you declare what you said you declared? Okay?
And that works.
So there's always the balance.
Checks. Okay, let me bring in Alfred. Alfred is sending us a message from Taifa. He said, watching you, but our lights are off, and I'm watching you from Facebook. Please ask your guests, what does he expect of the Akufo-Addo administration in terms of infrastructure? The last time they made a promise to ensure that there's a development at the Keta port. Ask him if the Keta port is developed, of what impact would it have? I don't get a message, but I'm sure he's asking that the inclusion of the Keta port, what would it mean?
Like I'm saying, for me, infrastructure, especially when it comes to the seaport, we can't end it anywhere. it should be endless.
It should be
Go
endless.
to other countries. How many ports? I mean, do they have?
So we should have as many
Of
as
course,
we can
there
get.
could be an easier, we have Takrady, we have Tema now. But freight alone could be affected if maybe Keta Port, they know how to map their, their journeys. And so they feel that if it's shorter to the Keta Port, okay, they would use it. And it could affect as well. I mean, freight could. So infrastructure is good. The major things we're looking at railway. If railway can hit directly from our ports, because way back, I knew the Takrady from the railway line was carrying boxes. This is where I started.
Right.
We're carrying boxes from Takrady to Kumasi.
Right.
They get there, the traders come, they take their goods out of the container, the railway bring them the boxes back to the port, straight to the port.
So railway works for you.
Oh,
Thank you very much, Adi Akron. It's a pleasure talking to you this evening on XYZ tonight. Best Easter gift for our viewers as well. Pleasure having you, and we'll do this some other time. And thank you very much for watching us here on XYZ tonight. We'll return next week Wednesday. We'll have another exciting conversation, one of your hottest show on TV. I am Prince Minka. Good night.